good evening, good afternoon, good whichever part of the world that you're in, and welcome to this original yet super effective way to improve test automation through the automation of test design. And we have our partners with us, Smart Testing via Trigent. And before we dive into the webinar, there are a few things I thought we might highlight for everybody's sake so that you're able to enjoy the webinar experience. The first thing, as a participant, you would be on mute throughout the session. We expect the session to be about 45 minutes, give and take a few. There will be time for Q&A, and whatever questions we cannot possibly answer, we will definitely get back, but please do post those questions. So you have a question pane that's available to you. You can post those questions, and we'd be happy to take them towards the end of the session. Yeah. There will be polls and surveys that are popped out in the middle occasionally. There's one at the beginning, I know, and there's one at the end. So please do participate in that. That would, help us improve how we deliver the webinar, and that's possibly one of the feedback mechanisms that we have to enjoy. So sit back, enjoy, and hope you learn about some of the improved ways that you can not just automate, but automate better right at the beginning of the testing lifecycle or the development lifecycle. My name is Diwakar Menon. I head the testing practice at Trigent, and at Trigent, we've been in the software business for the last 25 years. We've been at the business of software testing. In the last year, we were with our partners, with one of our clients, nominated and won the best Agile project at the North American Software Testing Awards. We constantly evolve. We work with across a wide range of industries. We work across a wide range of technologies, and we constantly work with partners to help deliver an improved service back to our customer. We are advocates of responsible testing, which puts risk and release readiness and customer experience at the heart of everything that we do from a testing perspective. We've also been a very active proponent of the community, of the testing community. We are hosts to the Women Who Test Forum chapter here in Bangalore, and yeah, we've been there for the last 25 years. We love what we do. Today, I'm pleased to have with us. We're pleased to have with us. We provide a wide range of services that includes everything from customer experience down to automation, the security, and performance as core offerings. Like I said, we're pleased to have with us today two very accomplished, as I say in French, très formidable people. Let me welcome Elisabetta Furneret. She's the test lead at Smart Testing, and Michel Guez, the CEO of Smart Testing. Together, they will help me. I have a lot of questions, queries. We're partners with them, but we still thought it might be a good way to get the thoughts around the product and the service out to you folks. So without much ado, Elisabetta, or Betty as she's called, and Michel, would you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, Betty, first. You can start.
Hello, everybody. I'm Betty. I have PhD in regression testing of evolving systems. I'm test lead and expert at Smart Testing, and I'm very honored to be part of this webinar.
Thank you, Betty. So I'm Michel Guez. I'm the CEO of Smart Testing, and let me please tell you a few words about Smart Testing. So my company, Smart Testing, is a software product vendor from France, a specialist in testing, active on this market for more than 15 years. We are recognized internationally for our expertise in model-based testing, but more generally, we have this unique expertise to link tests with graphical representations. And over the past 3 years, we have also developed a strong expertise in AI, artificial intelligence, for software testing. we use these technologies to improve test design. This is why we refer to the methodology implemented by our products as visual test design automation solutions for agile teams. Diwakar?
Yes, Michelle, and it's before we really launch into, like I said, we have polls and we have a question for you. So before we get into the real meat and nitty-gritties of what we have, I have a small poll that I would like to launch, and we'd love to hear what you believe are where within the process are most of your inefficiencies. It could be the test design, the execution, the automation, the challenge with collaborating between developers, or even with test data in general. So feel free to vote. We'll keep this on for the next 30 seconds, maybe a little more. Okay, that's interesting. And I'm seeing people going at it, and yes, let us then. Is everybody done? Counting down 3, 2, 1, and close. Okay, let me show you the poll results. And Michelle, as we have suspected, the automation piece is usually the challenge, with very little challenges really or inefficiencies in the test design space. Any views, Michelle, on those results that we're seeing?
Well, I'm not really surprised because the hype has been essentially on shifting right these days. That is a focus, I would even say an obsession sometimes, on test automation. And the upstream task as a consequence are neglected in such a context, which is a shame because optimizing test design is actually a very smart move. First, because test design is the source of quality. What's the point of executing test cases that are not business relevant? What's the point of investing money to automate a test that does not cover your risk properly? Second, because test design has been neglected for such a long time by vendors and contractors that it's a low hanging and juicy fruit. In other words, a huge reservoir of productivity already at hand. And finally, optimizing test design acts as a multiplier of the already existing benefits of test automation.
Perfect. So Michelle, I see that that challenge that you have so nicely put, that a lot of people and that's a pain that we're seeing out there also, because there is a lot of pain with automation. It is the fact that you have to not only learn how to script, you have to get the right set of capabilities. You have to make sure that the script is keeping in pace with the changes that you make, with your product as you make. So it's interesting that you say test design is something that you have picked on automating. And just to take a point further, right? Help our folks, the audience out there, understand how does this work? I mean, how does this work well by automating test design? How does this integrate well into our DevOps cycles? How does they integrate into our faster agile release cycles? And how do these tools that you say, which automates test design, help in these pressing challenges?
Well, the biggest challenge with the Agile and DevOps is definitely acceleration. Development cycles acceleration is the biggest challenge the testing organization have today. And the reason is they have had manual processes for years. So consequently, they are currently trying to catch up on automation. Lots of effort and money are invested on test automation these days. But since it is easier with traditional automation tools to automate short tests. Test automation tends to pull the testing focus on the lower part of the test pyramid. That is unit testing, of course, but also component testing, neglecting the business-related tests. And those tests that are really important because they check that you do the right software as opposed to just checking that you do the software right. And this is where we at Smart Testing bring a huge value as our solution facilitates the identification of the best tests covering the entire test pyramid and accelerates their automation and maintenance. So if we want to go further and find out how all this works, first we will do this as a little duet with Betty, if you allow us. The theory for me and the live demo for her. So I will start. Normally it's ladies first, but I will start this time. To accelerate test design, our solution uses an approach that I like to call divide and conquer. A test scenario is a complex thing, and on the top of it, you have the complexity of the application itself. And this complexity cannot be reduced. The only thing you can do is to slice it into pieces and handle each piece separately. That's precisely what you do when you use YEST. You handle the sequence of actions of your test scenario with graphical workflow, like the one you have in front of you. You express the business rules you wish to test with decision tables that are attached to the workflow. You manage the data sets in an Excel type table. And you can even document in details the manual execution steps separately. With this approach, not only you better manage complexity, but you apply your modification much faster and structure your test to be automation friendly. This approach also helps you to analyze the functional perimeter of the test more deeply, to define more precisely what you need to test with strong intensity and what you need to test more lightly. And you know, certainly this saying, a problem well defined is a problem half solved. What happens next is mostly automatic test generation, automatic publication of the manual test in your test repository with traceability links, automatic publication of the automation scripts in your test automation environment. So I said it would be a little duet. So I would like Betty to show you this in a quick demo live. So I will pass the floor to Betty now for her to show you the product live.
Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. You can go ahead.
Do you see yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So what you have in front of you, as Michel introduced it, is YEST, the solution for visual test design. It uses, as you can see, graphical representations like this one to represent the test idea. As you can see here with a glance, the test starts by entering the vehicle data, and then if the vehicle is found, then we continue to the nominal case, which is the entering of the customer data, selecting the insurance type, and calculating and displaying the price. Otherwise, if the vehicle is not found, then we express the error case that the vehicle is not found, and then the test stops. So, as Michel introduced, underneath these boxes that we call tasks into the YEST language, we express the business rules in the form of decision tables. So I will show you one decision table like this one that is naturally expressed easily by the tester. As you can see here with a glance, we're entering details about the car traffic initial release for a car being old less than 10 years, more than 10 years, or being a new car, for instance. So with this that you have, the graphical representations and the accelerators that Michel introduced, the tester has everything he or she needs for quick production of the best test. Really, Jest is the tester's IDE and has all the accelerators like the developer's IDE. The first accelerator, as Michel introduced it, is of course the test generation. So I would generate the test scenarios within a glance. And you see, you get your best scenarios covering the entire business rules expressed into your workflow, as you can see it here, and it covers all your business rules. Let me show you one scenario for you. This one, the first one, experimented, coming from Paris, having increased premium and having chosen comprehensive insurance simulation. What you see in front of you is a test. A test in Jest is a test for you, and a test for you is a test in Jest. You have the description of the scenario here on the left, and on the right, Jest represents you the path of this scenario on the workflow. I will show you another scenario just to see this, the vehicle not found. You see here, you have the test described in his textual form, and then we see the path of the scenario itself on the workflow. Let me get back now on the first scenario to show you some other accelerators. The first one is the propagation of the modification. For instance, instead of having entered the vehicle characteristic, I can have entered just the vehicle characteristics. And with this, I will propagate this change into the entire project. This is just one more simple modification done once in a glance. Now, I can show you a second accelerator, which is as well the auto-completion. The auto-completion is present at all levels into the developer's IDE. Here, for instance, I can insert a new line and I can say I will add a simulate and check price with a couple of sentences. I will choose, and this is it. I have completed my scenario with a new step. Yes, as you can see here on the right, ensures the path of my scenario on the workflow, and it shows it is broken. Now, let me show another, what is the most important one as well, and getting back with the Control Z, my scenario into its initial view, okay? I will publish this scenario into your favorite test management tool. Jest really seamlessly integrates with most of the test management tool. As you can see, this list here, which is not exhaustive for sure. And for me, I will publish into X-Ray, which is my favorite tool. In X-Ray, I'll choose where to send the test scenarios, and then Jest will take care about publishing these scenarios and making the links with my user stories inside into Jira. Being X-Ray a Jira enabled tool. Okay, now once this publication into X-Ray is done, I will show you a scenario. Let me just refresh the project here, and we'll show you the test scenario that we had previously experimented from Paris with increased premium, having choose comprehensive insurance. You see, I have the step that I have modified previously, and then the rest of my scenario that is present here. Okay, so with this, we are done. We have the scenarios published into our favorite test management tool directly from Jest based on this perfect workflow. Divakar, I give you the hand to you now.
Yeah, perfect, Betty. In fact, you know what I can see that we have what we have shown is the power of visual workflows to kind of understand how a test flows. What are the steps that or conditions that each step can possibly have. I don't know whether you've shown that, but possibly also how you can associate risk prioritization and the generation of each of the test steps that are required for a tester to execute. Amazing. Question: that I have. You showed me that you can put this out into a test management tool. Now, a lot of the requirements get evolved in Jira. A lot of collaboration happens over Jira user stories. How does Jest encourage the change or the or improve collaboration between, let's say, the developers, the testers, the product owners, and keep track of all of the changes as and when it's happening out there?
I will start to respond to your question, Divakar. You're absolutely right to insist on collaboration, as this is a pillar of agile development processes. And this pillar tends to disappear behind the order for test automation. With the visual test design, we have these graphical workflows that you have in front of you that can be understood by all project stakeholders: developers, business people, PO, testers, managers, seasoned people, but also the rookies can easily align on a drawing of this kind. That is why our software suite includes an app in Jira that is synchronized with the tester's production module. Thus, the Jest graphical workflows are shared with the entire Agile team in their favorite project management tool. Yeah, you have shown this, Betty. Can you show the synchronization in Jira?
Exactly. So a Jest project can be synchronized into Jira. Let me open this ticket into Jira. And with this, the project can be shared with the entire all stakeholders, the business analysts, the POs, the developers, and the testers. This is the present.
That's nice.
Yes. So this is exactly the same view that you have into Jest IDE.
Okay, thank you, Betty. I would like to add that user stories and acceptance criteria are very atomic requirements, and with this visual representation, user stories and acceptance criteria are contextualized so that everybody, and particularly the developers and the testers, can see the functional dependencies between the previous user stories that were developed and the ones that they have to deal with during the next sprint. Perhaps, Betty, you can show us how things work with Jest for Jira and Jest on the tester's machine.
Yes, thank you, Michel. So what you see here, as I said, is the Jest project. And before going to show you how we can implement, for instance, a new user story, let me just introduce two elements, two screens that are powered by the application Jest for Jira into the Jira environment. Here, in addition to the workflow, you can see the design coverage, where you have the test scenarios being published into X-Ray. This is a seamless integration powered by Jest, and you can visualize their coverage directly into the workflow into the Jira environment. In addition, you can get the Jira links coverage as well. Now, let me go to the interaction between Jest and Jest for Jira and Jest IDE when we are going to implement a new user story. We have a new user story arriving, being called appointment request in my case here. So let me show you how we are going to discuss and clarify it. The business analyst within a sprint meeting can clarify this user story, saying that a driver being subject to premium increase is invited to take an appointment in the agency to get the simulation for the insurance fee. So this user story will be clarified within the meeting, and we can directly, so the business analyst can directly edit this into Jira. Here, the business analyst will clarify that instead of selecting the insurance type, we will add a branch, choice point here being called check. And then we are going to make this link. If this check will verify if the client has, and I will add a task, is subject to some fees, you will need to take an appointment. And let me just link it directly into the application, into the task, and I will add a short endpoint. And with this, the clarification of the user story is done by the business analyst, and then the business analyst can inform the team, and in particular the tester, being me, Elisabetta, by mail. The tester receives by mail this information about the modification being done into Jira, and now can get back into Jest and update. You see here, it informs me that there is a modification. I will accept the modification up, and then we get this information directly into Jest IDE, the tester's environment. As a tester, I will go very easily to implement this user story. Here you have on the left corner a Jira panel. I'm going to refresh and I will see appearing the new user story on the appointment request. I will go and add now, implement this user story in order to generate the new scenarios. First, in this checkpoint, I will create a table that will address the driver premium attribute data. And here I will choose that in the case of discount between 0 and 50%, I will choose a direction being calculation of the display classical, and instead I will use the auto completion. If it's an increased premium, then I will choose the appointment direction. Okay, with this I have implemented the business rule, and I will add a short test action and expected result for this. I will attach, as in my decision table for the appointment, I will attach the user story within a glance with the just simple drag and drop here. And I will add a small objective to name my test scenario an appointment. Okay, with this, my work of implementing the user story is being done, and I can save this directly to Jira and inform all the stakeholders, the developers, the PO and the business analyst. Now, just before giving the hand to Divakar and Michel, I would just like to show you one another feature, being the impact analysis. The impact analysis is very easy with Jest and a very hard job for the tester. Here, you can within a glance see that 3 scenarios are not impacted by my work, but there are 2 scenarios being broken. Also, I can visualize the coverage of my indicators here. You can see that some user stories now they're not covered, and graphically see it as well into the workflow itself. As you can see, I'm missing scenarios for the appointment. Now I will go out from here. I will go back to my workflow and I will generate the new scenarios. Jest will take care on the generation for these new scenarios here. As you can see, I accept the generation and I will just remove the broken scenarios previously. Now, my work is done on the generation of the scenarios. I publish this into X-Ray, and Jest will take care to make an update of my repository and take care of the traceability links as it has been done previously. So that's all. The publication is done and my test management tool updated.
Okay. Yep. In fact, before I go ahead, I just want to remind everybody, all participants, that please pose your questions at any time. There are a couple of handouts that are available that you can download and add to your webinar experience, right? Coming back to you, Betty and Michel. In fact, I think you kind of set the stage very nicely in terms of trying to tackle the biggest question that everybody had, right? Right at the beginning, people said, automation. That's where the biggest inefficiencies come from. So you've shown us the ability to develop business stories. You've shown us the ability to generate test cases. You've shown us the ability to work in sync and collaborate and keeping your test cases up to date in sync with the user stories as they change. But how can we get there to the automation piece? And since that has so many other moving parts also, I'd love to see how how we can solve that challenge with these tool sets. Michel, Betty.
Yeah, you're right to highlight the fact that test automation is really the objective of most of our of the testing market today. So with Jest, and obviously Betty will show you this right after my little speech. With Jest, testers will implement the test automation good practice called keyword-driven testing. More precisely, I will say Jest will drive your test automation practice towards keywords and data driven testing. Practically, functional testers and automation engineers will collaborate to translate the business data sets, usually logical data sets used in the project, into implementation data sets, that is concrete data. And similarly, they will translate the test actions into sequence of automation keywords with their parameters. I think, Betty, you can show us this, right?
Yes, thank you, Michel. So let me show you what Michel introduced. Due to lack of time for the webinar, I have just prepared the dataset for you. Into Jest, you have the datasets making the link between the design and the implementation here data that you can see in front of you that are going to be used for the concrete execution of the scenario. And then Jest takes care about generating the combination of the scenario for you. That's one part about the data-driven aspect. And then with respect to the keyword-driven, in Jest, we are going to use, prepared for you for this webinar, an existing keywords being developed by the test automation engineer. What happens in our case, I will show you how we are going to precisely translate, as Michel said, the textual actions and expected results into automated keywords. Let's take, for example, our best scenario being called experimented from Paris with decreased premium comprehensive. So now should require an appointment in order to get the simulation. I will get the first step of this scenario. As you can see here, enter vehicle characteristics. It is translated in the form of 3 keywords: select car brand, select car model, and select car fuel type with their corresponding parameters. Now I will publish this. With this, we are ready. We have everything we need to get the scripts, and I will publish the scripts for you. Now my scripts are available into my test execution environment being IntelliJ IDEA in Python because it's a publication into robot framework. But it's exactly the same thing for all other publications or execution environments, the same thing as for test management tools. So here I open this scenario that appeared, experimented from Paris with increased premium comprehensive insurance requiring an appointment. And here you can find the 3 keywords that we have selected, generated by Jest. Select car brand, car model, car fuel type, with their parameters being here, and the values will be picked from the generated combinations by Jest present here. So with this, the scripts are ready for execution, and I will start the execution for you. You will see opening and getting my application on your screens, just very quickly to see it. So my script is launching the Chrome browser, in this case, and this is it. It's automatically adding the information. You will see the other step going. I will just stop it not executing all scenarios, but you can see that my scenarios have been passed here. So that's all. You have everything you need to get automated scenarios and executed on your system under test. Divakar, I give you the hand now.
Wow. So in a way, what I can now perceive and see is that if I was to summarize it, right, you start with the focus on the business level visual representation of the application, the workflows, the kind of test cases that you might need to have. Visual representation and the graphical representation helps to collaborate easy for people to visualize how the flows actually happen. We are able to collaborate across a multiplicity of test tools. We are then auto-generated test cases that can be executed either manually or, as you say, if you attach the keywords to it, you're then able to extract the scripts in such a way that it can run on any tool of your choice, which is in your case, which you showed us was Robo, but it could be Selenium, it could be Cypress or whatever. Now, this whole thing, I mean, and now I think I understand what you mean when you say the focus on test design and automating that and the value that it can add into the entire downstream process. This really is that production continuum. Michel, is that what this is?
Absolutely. The main reason why test automation is still a big challenge in most organizations, it is because test automation is organized as a siloed activity. In their silo, test automation engineers have to reconstitute the business vision of the business team and the functional perspective of the testers. And they have, of course, to add the technical part related to test automation. It's too much. They cannot be all-knowing, and they cannot do all this correctly on the long run with time pressure, constant changes in the requirements, complexity of the CI/CD, DevOps infrastructure, etc., etc. Plus, this is a waste of time to redo what others more competent have already done. You said production continuum. That's a perfect way to put it. A continuum plus a virtuous collaboration between the project stakeholders to take the most of their respective expertise. The business vision of the business analyst or of the PO, the functional knowledge of the testers, and the technical expertise of the test automation engineer.
Perfect. In fact, I can see how that focus on test design now and automated generation has the advantage of not just taking the load of your test, the generation of test cases, of sitting down and scripting test cases, sitting down and scripting automated scenarios, etc. Tell me this: you have deployed this product with a lot of organizations, both in Europe and across the world. How do you see their reaction to the product, and what have you seen as gains that they have come back and said, hey, these are the gains that we're really seeing, the value that we're seeing out of the product and its implementation itself?
Improved collaboration saves a lot of time, but I must confess that this is a little bit difficult to measure. One customer of us in France, a big IT service provider that operates a test factory for several clients, once told me that they have experienced a reduction of rework due to the misunderstanding with their clients by more than 10%. That's an interesting feedback. What is much easier for our client to measure is the productivity gains brought by YEST in the development and maintenance of their test scenario and the automation, their automation scripts. Here we have very convergent metrics that gives 30% productivity gains for the creation of test scenario from scratch, more than 50% for their maintenance, and about another 25% productivity gains for test automation. All in all, it produces an improvement of the entire test process by almost 20%. And with our licenses pricing, the payback is obtained after 3.5 months in average.
Wow. So I mean, I continue to be impressed by these figures. I know the kind of challenges that we have gone through with trying to improve efficiency by 5%. I mean, it's a continuous challenge, and especially in a scenario where there is so much of continuous churn and requirements, so much of changes, so much of refactoring that comes in. Sometimes I believe we refactor more than we build new, at times. So, but I think what I'm seeing now is the ability to the production continuum, as it were, to be able to model it, to be able to build the test cases, to be able to build the automated scripts. It's super now. In our experience also, that we think that these tools are difficult to learn. It's been fairly easy to learn. It's in fact, having worked with smart testing, I can vouch for that. Having we as a partner to smart testing, we see that building up those capabilities into our workforce has been extremely easy. There's been sessions, half-day sessions that we've organized. Somebody with a reasonably good testing experience, reasonably knowledgeable about automation, can start to learn these tool sets and get start getting expertise or gaining expertise on that. They have certifications, they have e-learning portals, they have certifications that are available to them, to the people who want to go down that path. And most of all, it's an app that's available for download. You can have your own local desktop IDE integrated freely with a Jira, a free app for the Jira that's also available. So it makes sense to in our minds, it has been a fairly easy transition to adopt these tool chains. Just so that we get onto the same page, the way we work with smart testing, we've been working to deliver the software as a service model to you as customers and to all of our customers. What this allows you to do is integrate YEST very quickly into your agile testing cycles. You're able to deliver a collaborative test design. That means you're able to bring in collaboration. You're able to make sure that any changes are propagated, any changes to user stories well reflected, any changes to test. People can comment on the flows, people can comment on the data, people can identify and flag risks much earlier, given the coverage that you want to achieve. And what then it allows you to do is automatically generate test cases, automatically generate test scripts, which you can then run in any automated scenario of your choice. What we do with is deliver this entire thing as a service for small and large enterprises. We take it as a part of the operational cost. You don't need to invest in the licenses. We bring that cost on, and we deliver the entire solution as a service to you. Get in touch with us. Feel free to contact us. We are at info@trigent.com, and you'd be more than happy to do that. We have one more question. If you'd like to be contacted, let know, and we can let you know as to whether we can get in touch with you, and we'd love to have a further conversation on this. Feel free to use to tap on yes or no, and we'll be happy to get in touch. Cool. Michel, any questions from the audience that you'd like to pose out here? Okay, we do have one, Michel, while we are waiting for the poll results. We do have one. How does YEST and integrate with the concept of acceptance test-driven development? A lot of what I'm seeing here is kind of related to that. So I think that's what one of the participants had a question for around.
Yes, the concept of behavior-driven development has been more, I would say, more successful. At least the acronym BDD is well known, while ATDD is a little bit less. Acceptance test-driven development is a little bit less common in the literature. But the two concepts are very close, the one to another. The difference is BDD is really about behavior. That means that it's more a solution, a methodology which is adequate for unit testing or component testing, but it would be difficult to express long scenario using BDD Gherkin, the Gherkin language. You know, if you have given blah 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 and blah 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 and blah blah blah, etc., few lines like this, when something and another thing and another thing, etc., then something happens, but also another thing happens, a third thing happens, etc. It's too long. It's too long, and you lose the collaboration effect. You lose the legibility for all the stakeholders, and this is the reason why BDD is kept for atomic test, very short test, and at the lower part of the pyramid, and mainly for unit testing. So with the ATDD and with YEST, you have the ability to cover the entire test pyramid, from the component tests to the application or system tests, even to end-to-end test. If you wish to automate that, you can do it as well. So that's one of the big value of our solution and methodology as compared to BDD. But BDD is quite useful for unit testing, and lots of developers, development teams have adopted it, and it's very good. But for testing teams, I believe ATDD and visual ATDD would be much more appropriate.
Perfect. Thanks, Michel. We have one more question from the audience. A lot of challenges around automation are usually with respect to finding the right skills, the right capabilities, the complexity of knowing tool sets, the complexity of knowing the right coding practices, frameworks that need to be built, etc. How do tools like YEST encourage, how are able to surmount that challenge, especially in that, putting the power of testing really and automation really into the hands of business users?
That's a very good question, actually. I don't know the market situation in the country of our participants, but I can tell you that here in France, there is a lack of testers, and most importantly, there is a lack of test automation engineer. That's really all the companies and contractors are desperately looking for good profiles and good resources in this field. The beauty, I believe, in the beauty that YEST brings is that it will prevent the test automation engineers to waste their time. It will optimize the effort and the work of test automation engineers. And on the top of that, it will enable the functional testers that do not have test automation background to contribute very significantly to the test automation effort. So it means that with YEST, you have the ability to do more test automation with your existing test resources, and without looking for more test automation engineers on the market. So there is really an optimization of the test automation engineers' resources, and a huge contribution of the functional testers, the manual functional testers, to the test automation effort. And that is, in the current situation, this is a big asset.
Michel, thank you. All right, we have one more question that's come in. Again, one of the things is the fact that there is a lot of, whenever we get into automation, we discover that there is a lot of legacy that's already been built in. There's a lot of tool sets test cases that are available, but there's not much of automation, and there is a huge set of upfront costs that are there. Is there a way by which people can very quickly adopt YEST, and what would those steps be, Michel, in terms of trying to get that going?
Another very good question. I'm very happy with the participants. They ask very good questions. It's true that in most of organizations, a lot of legacy applications have an important repository of good manual test cases. And of course, these legacy applications are still live. They are still very critical for the business, and the organizations would like these legacy applications to be part of the Agile stream. But in order to be put back into the Agile stream, these applications and test repository, of course, must be this test repository must be automated. I mean, the test cases must be automated. So we have a module that we could not present today, but that uses artificial intelligence to retro-engineer manual test cases into a YEST project. Basically, from the manual test cases that are in your repository for the legacy application, you can, at the click of a button, almost reverse engineer the graphical workflow, the test data, of course, the tests themselves, and put them back into YEST for further automation with YEST, as Betty showed it to you. So it's a very interesting way to take the manual test cases of legacy applications, which are very rich with functional knowledge, and to put them back into YEST for further automation with YEST. So that's a solution that we have that we could not present today, but it might be the subject of another webinar one day.
Perfect. Yes. Thanks, Michel. I will look forward to that, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience will also, to be able to use natural language processing and AI to actually scan through your existing legacy test cases and build a YEST repository. Super. I don't think there are any more questions now. If anybody has any more questions, please feel free to write to us, drop us a line. Thanks a lot for any closing remarks, Betty, Michel, that you want to add to this?
Betty?
No, not on my side. I'm just very happy being with you here today.
And I just want to remind the audience that the video replay would be available soon, and that they can distribute and share this video with their colleagues. And I hope we have responded to your to your expectations today. We have addressed your expectations today.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Michel. Thanks for your time today evening. It was a pleasure hosting you all, and hope to see you all soon again. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out to attend. And you can watch the recording, you can share the recording, and you can get in touch